Good Friday morning. Are you ready for the weekend? Hopefully your workday is coming to a close, or you haven't started yet, or heck, let's give a shout out to the people that love their job and are working hard on Fridays, Saturdays, and into the weekend. The nation has spoken. The ball is in the air. Tip off, kickoff, face off, first pitch. It's the No Show Sportscast. I'm Matt Klein. We are running Fridays and Mondays. The Vancouver Canucks cannot get it done versus the Calgary Flames. Second end of a back-to-back. But Wednesday night, they were able to pull through, get it done, and they were able to pull off a 4-3 win. Quinn Hughes getting it done in overtime. Beats Ilya Sorokin, top left, glove side, coming back from down 3-2. JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes. These guys are leading the way in total points across the league. That means everybody. We've also got Cincinnati and Baltimore taking it to the house. Lamar Jackson playing like MVP Lamar. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow goes down. Nothing we can do about that but stand on the sideline just like him and watch the rest of the game. And Browning was not able to fill in for Cincinnati as they fall to Baltimore 34-20. We've also got Deshaun Watson is out. Glenoid socket, right shoulder surgery will require him to be out for the remainder of the season. Week 11. It's already started because we have Thursday Night Football come and gone. Garrett Cole wins Cy Young for the first time in his long career. And we got Blake Snell taking it as well in the National League. Not to mention, Draymond Green is suspended for 5 games. We're going to get into that. It's the No Show Sportscast. So the Canucks, they cannot get it done on the second and back-to-back. Obviously, it's okay. All right, let's relax. Let's back up for a second. We understand they were in Vancouver. They were just here. And now they got to fly out to Calgary. That's not exactly easy pickings when you're playing a team. I mean, when you go to that arena over there in the Saddle Dome, everyone's wearing red. I'm not saying that Calgary is this dominant team on the road, but pardon me, at home, of course. But the Canucks, second end of a back-to-back, we always know that the team is going to be functioning at around 75% anyways. Backup goaltender Casey DeSmith is in there. Shots looked like they were being doubled. Calgary was bringing all of the pace, all of the energy, tied it up. They managed to oversee some of the elite offensive production for the Vancouver Canucks power play. I mean, my goodness, they're second in the league. They're just over 33% in the league. That's second for the power play. They were able to get Pettersson going in the first period, but unfortunately in the second, the Flames were taking care of business. And they're a team, much like the Oilers, they're going to be trying their best to be making these games count because they don't want to be written off in November. You guys know how I feel about writing teams off in November. There's just no way that we can get a proper metric on how good a team is in November when the only time that your record matters, it's in March and April. You got to be formulating those wins and keeping in mind who your opponents are because they could be the ones that you've got to beat in order to leapfrog them and get into the playoffs because that's what the Flames are going to be dealing with. Vegas did win today. They beat Montreal 6-5. So unfortunately, the Canucks, it was fun while it lasted. I mean, even if in March it's going to be okay. And in April, it's going to be okay. If the Canucks are not first in the West. They were first in the West for what, 24 hours, 36 maybe? None of that stuff really matters. The standings do not matter in November. But if the Canucks want to think that, oh yeah, this is going to be great, here we are, we're the best team in the league, look at us. We're rolling, we're cruising, we're ripping through a bunch of these teams. To me personally, it doesn't matter, okay? I want to look for, is this team sustainably going to be good, okay? That's what I want to know. They're 12-4-1, and that's good enough. That is a good enough record to know that they're a good team right now. Are they going to Canuck? Are they going to do what they always do and what they have seemingly been able to? This is their new identity. This is what they do. It's unfortunate that even with hot starts and streaks, things of that nature, it happens every now and then over in Vancouver. And I'm going to be looking for, can the Canucks beat bad teams? Because if you're a good team, you can lose to good teams, but you cannot be losing to bad teams. I don't care about this Calgary loss. I care about the Islanders win Because if they were to lose that game, they would have lost tonight as well. That would have been a bad look. So things like that, because they're taking down some serious heavy hitters here. But also this is like translating over to if they're good enough on the road, because that is a huge factor. And being able to be good on the road, that's half the battle, especially in the playoffs. Don't think for a second that all you can do is win at home like the Miami Dolphins and then suck when you're playing a bad team, a good team rather, on the road. You cannot be doing that stuff. So the 12, 4-1. Carson Soucy out 6 to 8 weeks, 2 goals, 5 points, plus 6 in 13 games for him. Still a valuable member of their team, obviously. Kuzmenko took a shot right up in the shoulder, chest, chin, neck-ish area on a 5-on-3 power play on Wednesday night. Still no word on how long he's going to be out, but it looks like the Canucks are sustainably keeping this hot streak going because they haven't just been 8-1-1 in their last 10. They had to get to this point, and it looked far away. It seemed like Vegas and Colorado, Dallas, and all those good teams were a little bit far away. But they've been managing to keep the streak going and keep it alive. So Bo Horvat returns, and he scores a goal. And he's looking like the guy that JT Miller was at the start of last season. So maybe this time next year, is JT Miller going to be like, how come we're flip-flopping here? Miller is the guy that Horvat was last year this time, and Horvat got traded to a good team. Why did he get traded to the Islanders, who were a good team, so that he could do something for them, thinking that the talents were being wasted? Meanwhile, Miller is the guy who gets the extension because they chose him over Horvat. Simple as that. And now here we are. Horvat stinks. The Islanders stink. And the Canucks are rolling. And JT Miller's looking like he's worth every penny. At least thus far. It's too early. Like I'm saying, we gotta be patient. Let's be patient, okay? Let's see if they can lose to good teams, beat some good teams, but also beat every single bad team that they play, because that's going to be a huge difference maker. What else is going to be a huge difference maker is, of course, the big, bad Thursday night football game. The most recent news, we've got Joe Burrow. He was throwing right over to Mixon for the touchdown. He didn't even react like he was happy that it was a touchdown because he was more concerned about his wrist bothering him. Some practice throws, couldn't do it, had to go to the locker room. So we've got Browning coming in, and the guy is not going to throw. He's looking like Zach Wilson out there, incapable of going downfield, dumping it off to Mixon most of the time, running it with Mixon, third downs galore. This is what happens when the Cincinnati Bengals do not have Joe Burrow. And for their team, they already didn't have T. Higgins. And, no Sam Hubbard either. That's a huge blow. Both sides, right? Opportunities and such situations that this Baltimore defense last year, it was so confusing. Like, we had no idea what they were up to. But once again, it's looking like things are shaping up for Lamar. Odell had over 100 receiving yards. Whew. Man, that guy, he's been through the mill. He's been up and down. Nobody knows who he is. Fantasy owners are thinking that he's just a reliable old man, maybe. Pardon me, an unreliable old man. The guy cannot stay healthy. He missed a couple games earlier in the season, but he's not the crux of their offense. Mark Andrews went down, and there's something like, what is going on with Logan Wilson? He tackles Lamar, busts his ankles up, and then he tackles Mark Andrews, and his ankles actually are busted up. Remains out for the game. Looks like they didn't actually need him because they were able to score plenty with Gus Edwards on the ground game. Lamar, fairly conservative. He did get the ball up enough, obviously, but you're not going to rush Mark back when you've got Joe sitting on the sideline looking pretty with his toucan in the freezing Baltimore winter. And now we've got to worry about Mark Andrews because this offense is far from complete if he's out. They're already having to make do with Gus Edwards, who's got 10 rushing touchdowns. It's good stuff, No, hey, ride with it. Ride with what you got, because there's always going to be a run game in Baltimore. Nothing's changing there. But before this game, regardless of record, I feel like the Bengals, they need to reestablish themselves as the AFC champions that they used to be, because they were able to take down some serious baddies. The Tigers were coming into San Francisco and they took them down. They were not looking so great. It seems like every October things are frustrating in Cincinnati. It's tough. Joe Burrow, obviously, this injury is keeping him out. He didn't look completely out of it. He still probably could have come in and, I don't even know. He was shaking guys' hands with his left hand at the end of the game. Didn't have his right arm in a cast or anything, but it's just not showing it, And over in the AFC North, of course, you got Deshaun Watson, glenoid shoulder surgery. So he's going to be out. It was tough to kind of judge this guy because we didn't really know what he was bringing to the table with all these injuries. It's a lot better when you are told what's going on instead of just dodging the question and not being sure what's actually happening. Because with all of these shoulder, neck, just all kinds of injuries, knee injuries, these problems, we were all left in the dark. Nobody knew what was happening, and now that we know he has a glenoid shoulder injury that's going to require surgery, we know. So it's almost better that way. Obviously, I feel bad because the guy definitely was trying as hard as he could in that Baltimore game in Week 10. I think I saw the play where he hurt himself. He was getting tackled. He got tackled up high. It was in and around his neck. He got hauled down, and he had to sit down for a minute. He couldn't just pop back up and get back to the line of scrimmage to get ready for the next play. But that is impacting the AFC North as well, because you've got Cleveland's going to be unpredictable. Pittsburgh is a solid team. And Cincinnati is going to find a way to grind out wins because they're not playing on the road against Baltimore every single week. But this does look bad for Myles Garrett and that defensive line because they've been so good. But without the wins, nobody's going to be like, oh, yeah, you did what you could to lead Cleveland to victory, because you got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie out of UCLA, behind as the floor general or the field general. But it's still the best division in football. It's hard to tell, So this is quite something, though, as we're transitioning over to baseball. Achievements. Myles Garrett wants the Defensive Player of the Year, and he probably wants the MVP too. He's not satisfied with just quarterbacks getting the MVP all the time. Let's not do that. Let's spread the wealth here. Come on. There's more players on the team. And as far as awards go, the MVP awards in baseball have been announced, and Shohei Ohtani takes home the cake in the American League. Ronald Acuna, the National League. I don't know if Acuna winning the MVP this year and Judge winning the American League MVP last year, if the two of them are on equal grounds with whoever they were going up against in the other league. Who won the National League MVP last year? We'll remember Ohtani because Ohtani is unforgettable. Back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, but second, unanimous. Nobody is taking anybody else. No other first-place votes. Shohei takes the cake. The man played excellent this year, but to be honest, I don't think he played all that great this year. He only played 135 games. He had that hot stretch in June and July where he was hitting a home run every game. But that's what you've got to do to win these things. That's what you got to do. You just got to get hot at the right time, and you have to have excellent non-competition in the other players, which makes Acuna's award not that significant because Ohtani did it without really drawing a whole lot of attention to himself or the Angels, not pitching very great, having an injury, leaving. He didn't play in September. But that's just how baseball is. Same with the Cy Young. Garrett Cole wins the American League, and Blake Snell wins the National League. Both pitchers played great, and it's probably easier in retrospect to look at that and think that all their outings proved such, that they were deserving of it. I watched plenty of Blake Snell because in fantasy baseball, I took Jacob deGrom in the second round, and then I took Cease in the fifth round. I took Musgrove and Rodon later, but I got Blake Snell off of waivers. Nobody knew that this guy was going to be the Cy Young caliber. I mean, he won it in 2018, back when he was with Tampa Bay. I mean, the guy, he hasn't even been like, he hasn't even been a finalist either. He has been Cy Young, 2 Cy Youngs, but he hasn't even been in the conversation really, because you can get like 8th or 9th or 10th place like Garrett Cole. So Garrett Cole, he was 2nd place in 2021 and in 2019. He was 4th place in 2015 and in 2020. And he was 5th place in 2018. And here we are. He finally gets it done. 789 win percentage with 14 non-decisions. No thanks to the Yankees. The Yankees played terrible. Padres, similar disappointment. 209 innings pitched for Cole, 165 ERA plus, .981 whip, and 6.8 hits per 9 innings, 2.63 ERA, 33 games and 2 shutouts to lead the American League. And then Blake Snell had a 2.25 ERA for himself in the National League, which led both the only league. This is what I'm talking about. Like, Acuna did an unbelievable thing, 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. And we've got the guy, okay, Ohtani had 40-some home runs, not his career high, less than 100 RBIs, didn't pitch very well. Seager and Simeon didn't play enough either, in my opinion. Simeon did. He led the league in plate appearances and at-bats. Obviously, that is something to acknowledge. And he led the American League in hits. He has homered 45 times 2 seasons ago. He did that. And this year wasn't as impressive because I always thought that he was going to grow off of that single year with the Blue Jays. I know. Gotta let it go, right? But anyway, Ohtani gets it done. Hey, good job. Congratulations. I hope you come back bigger and stronger for whichever team you're going to end up with, right? So, last but not least, my goodness, dude. Draymond Green. Oh, Draymond. It's nice when you can compartmentalize sports. And I want to compartmentalize basketball. And I'm going to leave it to the end. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to keep doing that, okay? Rudy Gobert, Jalen McDaniels versus Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. That was the fight card on Tuesday night. Yeah, nice one. The headlines on Wednesday morning included, Draymond must be suspended. Green is a terrible MMA fighter. Draymond does anything he can to get ejected. Draymond was looking for any reason to put Rudy in a headlock. Man, having to listen to Steve Kerr justify what Draymond was doing, he gets him in a headlock because he thinks that Klay did. Well, Rudy put his arms around Klay and was like this, holding him back. And then Draymond jumps in, grabs his neck, pulls him away, and gets suspended for 5 games. Yeah, the benefit that you were doing, what you were trying to do to help your teammate, ends up suspending you for 5 games. Not to mention how completely gratuitous it was for you to jump in like that. I mean, I don't know how you justify that. I don't. But having to listen to Steve Kerr figure it out, I believe on Thursday he mentioned, hey, let's understand that the Draymond was going to get suspended. I completely understand that. This is unfortunate. This hurts the Warriors. But the guy, I understand you got to defend your teammates. But in the NBA, you got to defend your teammates. You got to protect your players at the cost of the truth. In sports, sometimes perception is more important than the truth. And that's what's happening. I think it's hurting Kerr's rep because now he's turning into this guy who's defending his players at any cost. And he benches guys. And by benches, he rests guys probably more than any other coach. I don't know who does. But the guy's losing his respect as a leader. Especially how the Warriors have been. I mean, it's a huge question mark, man, every single year. I think we're all kind of sick and tired, and we're all ready just to see another team, rise up. It feels good. It really does feel good. So, lots, obviously, covering. And, man, the No Show Sports Cast, we will be talking about whatever is going on in the North American sports region, covering for the major sports. And we've got plenty more to get into because on Friday mornings and on Monday mornings, we are going to be covering sports. So tune in and make sure you're following us on all of our social media.